So it's currently about 7:30 in the morning on December the 14th, I believe, Thursday. I'm about to go for a quick walk. Yes, it is early in the morning. I had a panic attack last night around 9:30 p.m. It was it was it was a pretty bad panic attack. I'm not gonna lie. It had me jump off my bed. I was just laying down and trying to go to trying to sleep early instead of sleeping at like 11, 12 o'clock. I wanted to fall asleep by 10 o'clock or so, but sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But anyway, my lip got fat, my lips got numb. Part of my body got numb. I had this really bad tingling sensation all over my body, including like my head. It was like so much head pressure that my head felt like it was gonna explode. It's just one of those. It was just one of those panic attacks. And when I stood up, I was like, I just felt out of it. I felt my balance was really bad. I just felt sick. It lasted for a few minutes, and then I just got off, sat down on my computer desk, and watched TV, and just let it happen, and try my best not to freak out. And then when it finally passed, and then I was just laying down in bed trying to sleep, trying not to like think about it. But sometimes when you have a panic attack, you can forget it as soon as it's over, and then you can go to sleep. And then there's times that you have one, then you start thinking about it so much, you trigger yourself into having another one. And I thought I was gonna have a stroke. I thought this, I thought that, and then I had to snap myself out of it because in the heat of the moment, you sometimes you can snap out of it, sometimes you can't. And that's part of the recovery. I mean, I'm happy now that when I'm panicky, I don't let it get to the point where I want to call 911. I actually never had to call 911 for myself, so that's one thing that a lot of us that has panic attacks, we want to actually we actually want to call 911. We actually want to go to the hospital. For myself, I just went to my family doctor once and to the urgent care in the hospital once, and I haven't been back to my doctor. Has gone to the hospital for over a year now, so I'm doing pretty good on having to run to the hospital, how going to see the doctor. I don't know, whatever the doctor told me, I'm okay, and then I just reminding myself every day I'm okay. One of my former coworkers since that asked me sometime the beginning of this year or sometime last year when I wasn't working anymore. He asked me why I quit. I told him I was having panic attacks, and then he told me he used to get them 5 or 6 panic attacks. A couple of years ago, he had them for about a month, he say, and then I don't know if he actually took any time off work, but he told me he had a couple of panic attacks. It happened when he was in his car out of nowhere, like many of us. I think a lot of us had our first panic attack when we were not at home. I think there's some of you guys that told me that you actually had it at home. But when you're having it at home and then you go outside, I don't know if it's the same where you don't want to go outside because you're afraid to have it outside. But when you have it outside, away from your home, even if you're at work, you start being afraid. You start having the fear of leaving your house because you're going to think you're going to have it away from home. But if you had your first few panic attacks at home, are you going to be afraid of being at home? So I don't know if that affects you differently if you have your first few panic attacks at home. Because I know many of us that has our panic attack away from home, we're scared to leave our home because we feel safe at home, and when we have it at home, we're not as embarrassed as we're going outside. And I think that's what happens when we have a panic attack. We feel like we know we can have a panic attack anywhere, even at home. Sometimes the one at home are even worse than the one that's outside, because when you're home, you feel like there's no one that's gonna judge you how you panic. Your family should understand you more than anyone else. But when you're outside, you're freaking out. You start thinking, oh, people are gonna think you're crazy or something. That's one thing that I think a lot of us that say that we're afraid to leave our house, because we're actually more afraid people are gonna judge us from having a panic attack than being outside freaking out. Like, I talked to my neighbors, I told them I have a panic attack, panic disorder. They told me, you know what, if you have one and we're outside, we're just gonna come and help you. We're not gonna like bring you down to whatever. We're not gonna talk about you or anything like that. And a lot of us, especially, I know a lot of people actually told me especially the guys, they tell me that they're afraid to like tell their friends, their family, co-workers, because they're embarrassed. For myself, I was embarrassed at first, and then I was like, you know what? Anyone can have a panic attack. It doesn't matter. You can be the smartest person, you can be the strongest person, you can be the richest person. You can be the best looking person. It doesn't matter. Looks has nothing to do with it. Gender doesn't have anything to do with it. Age doesn't have anything to do with it. Especially the teenagers. I talked to a couple of teenagers. They tell me that their parents think they're lazy. The parents, their family think they're lying. They don't want to go to school. And I can understand that. That it's hard to tell people, especially at a certain age, because people gonna think you're lazy because you can't get up, you can't do this, but they don't know how it feels to have a panic attack. They don't know how it feels like. I mean, when I didn't have panic attack, and I didn't understand it. If someone talk about it, they say they have it, I'm gonna ask them what's the symptoms, what it feels like. I mean, I just want to understand how it feels like, but I'm not gonna say, oh, you're just lazy. You have to understand how someone else feels before you can judge them. Nobody that has panic attacks wants to have panic attack. So it's easy for people that says, oh, you're just being lazy because they don't have panic attack. They can say, oh, well, I have other stuff I have to worry about. I have to go to work, blah blah blah. Like for myself, I haven't worked for over a year now. Over a year and a half now. I would be happy if I can go to work. But for people that doesn't understand anxiety, to call us lazy, that's kind of messed up, because you don't know how someone is suffering, struggling inside their mind, their body, to call them lazy. Then when you start feeding other people negativity, then they go start having depression if they don't already have depression. Like for myself, I push myself every day to get off my bed. Like, I'm still having a hard time in the mornings, but I'm still trying, and that's the only thing I can do is try. If I fail one day, I'm gonna try the next day. I'm not gonna go to the next day and say, oh, what's the point of trying? I fail, blah blah, much time. Let's say you try waking up in the morning, go for a quick walk, 100 times, and you did it one time. You shouldn't say you fail every time, because that one day you actually did it. And I try to encourage myself and others that don't feed yourself into that negativity around you. People that feed you negative, and in negativity, they just have to feed you negativity to make themselves feel better. And sometimes you have to look around you. There's something that you have they don't have. And that's why I tell myself, if someone tries to bring me down, I'm gonna say, you don't know what it's like to be inside my skin. If you knew how I felt, or you knew how other people that's going through anxiety, and you call them lazy, you're not going to be able to handle it. Like they say, the strongest person can have panic attacks. The a person that could be a daredevil, they can have a panic attack, and out of nowhere they're gonna start freaking out too. So you never know. Somebody, even doctors can have a panic attack. People in the military, they can start having panic attacks. So you can't call someone weak for having a panic attack. It happens to it can happen to anyone. I I seen posts on Instagram, people in the military talking about having anxiety panic attacks. So if you're going to call us weak, or you're going to call those people that's in the military weak, doctors, EMS, firemen, police, any of them can have a panic attack. Even dogs, cats, they're known to have panic attacks, panic disorder. So you never know. Anyways, as far as my anxiety from my panic attack from last night, it lasted for about half an hour or longer. Um, I just let it happen, try my best to remain as calm as possible, but like I mentioned, sometimes you can handle it, sometimes you can't. But I'm happy that I'm able to handle them a lot better now than I was last year. And even if I had like a little panic attack, it would have been I would have made it worse than it is. Sometimes I'll have a panic attack, and my heart will start racing, and I don't have any other symptom. I start freaking out. Now when I have all these symptoms, sensations all at once, like the dizziness, the vertigo, the upset stomach, the headaches, the blurry vision, the weak legs, the numbness, tingling, the electric shock sensation, dry mouth, feeling like I'm going to throw up, feeling I'm going to faint, all those sensations, I'll get them all at once. Sometimes they last for half an hour, but I try my best to just sit there. If I'm sitting there, I'm just going to let it happen. I'm not going to do something that to try to calm it down. I'm just gonna let it happen, because the more you run, like if you have a panic attack and you have the urge to run home, your heart is gonna race even more. Think about it. So if you calm yourself down, your heart will start racing, then your panic will decrease instead of increasing. Because I remember sometime last in July 2016, when I had a couple of days with no anxiety, no panic attack, no symptoms, no sensation, that I was able to leave my house. I was already housebound at the time, but something in my mind just didn't think about anxiety. I just walked out the door, rode my bike around. Then my family just looked at me like, "Is he okay?" But they didn't say anything. I told them, if you ever see me go outside for a walk or whatever, don't ask me where am I going, because if they ask me where I'm going, then my subconscious mind's gonna trigger me into having a panic attack. Like, oh my God, where is he going? He knows he can't leave. He can't do this. He has a panic attack. He has panic disorder. He can't leave. So whenever you're going somewhere and you want to leave your house, um, don't remind yourself that you can't leave. Don't let someone remind you that you can't leave. If someone say, "Where do you think you're going?" or something, because they know you haven't left your house in for whatever, few weeks, few months, couple of years. If you want them to know that you're going somewhere, write down on paper, "I'm going somewhere," but don't ask me where I'm going. I just want to try. You know, because if someone just says, "Where are you going?" like, "Hey, where are you going?" It sounds kind of suspicious. It sounds like in your head, with anxiety, you're gonna think, "Oh, they're bringing negative to me. They know that I can't leave the house, so they're like thinking, why is this guy even trying?" So make sure when you do leave your house, don't go around like nitpicking, like, "Oh, did I close the door? Is the stove off? Did I leave the lights in my room on? Did I leave the TV on? Do I have my phone?" Stuff like that. You know, make sure you have your phone if you need. Just do stuff, but don't in your mind try your best not to say, "Oh, did I do this? Did I do that?" Because the more time you give yourself to think, your subconscious mind is gonna wake up and take over your mind. It's gonna say, "Oh, why are you looking for your phone? Why are you putting your shoes on? Where you think you're going?" Stuff like that. So sometimes, like for me, when I go somewhere, I just tell my parents I'm going for a walk. They know that I've been leaving my house, but before, when they saw me leave the house, they say, "Oh, where you going?" I'm like, "I'm getting the mail," and they say, "For real?" And then, bam, instantly threw me into a panic attack because I wanted to go and try to get the mail like a normal person that can get the mail without freaking out. And then when they said that, I couldn't even open the door. My hands were shaking, and I was like, I told my parents, if you see me leave, I'm going to tell you where I'm going. Don't ask because I want to say it myself. I don't want you to ask. Like if you ask, it makes me feel like I don't know what I'm doing. So, anything that helps you clear your mind, do it. If you have a thought that pops in your mind, it never leaves. Talk to someone about it. Talk to someone that you can trust. Write it down on paper so it's not in your mind. You don't have to tell anyone about it. You can write it down on a piece of paper. Every time it pops in your head, just say it. Just write it down so it's not in your mind. And that's what helps me too. That's why I make these videos, because whatever's in my mind, I let it out, you know. So that's why I'm not having as much negative thoughts and what if thoughts as much as I used to, because I got tired of keeping them in my head. I'm tired of thinking about it. Anyways, I'm about to go for a quick walk. Like I say, it's about 7 something in the morning and it's pretty cold, but let's see how it goes. I also been telling myself to wake up early and go for a walk. Sometimes I feel more comfortable walking when it's cold than when it's hot, for whatever reason. And then I think it's because when I have the shortness of breath, it's even worse when it's hot, but when it's cold, I can breathe a lot better. And I also used to have to listen to music every time I wake up in the morning, because it keeps my mind off things that I don't want to focus on. But I stopped doing that because it was a distraction. I wanted to get my anxiety under control without having to use distractions.
car and got jumped on by the little spaniels.
You might listen because I can hear
So I'm home now. I'm gonna sit in my car for a few minutes. So I'm freezing. It's only like 39 degrees outside. So I mean, for California, that's cold. You know, I used to live in the East Coast, but that's when I was younger. So I used to go to Reno, Lake Tahoe, you know, places where it snows, and I got used to the cold, and ever since, you know, I have anxiety when it's cold. It feels like it's too cold. When it's hot, it feels like it's too hot. So, you know, it's never that temperature. It's that your body gets used to. You know, 1 minute you can be cold, the next minute you can be hot. You know, that's just anxiety. You know, as crazy as it sounds, anxiety can bring you all these symptoms, these sensations. Like this, how many sensations I don't know, but there's a lot. Some of us has them all. Some of us only have a couple. You know, but even when you only have like a couple, you know, it could be the worst ones that you have. And that's what's hard about anxiety. You can feel good for like a day, a couple hours, and bam, you know, it hits you out of nowhere. But when it hits you, what can you do? Besides, there's only two things you can do, like freak out or remain as calm as possible and let it pass away. You know, let it just do its thing and not fight it. You know, that's what happened to me. I tried fighting it by, you know, by, when I say fighting it, I mean like, you know, I would struggle. I would try to fight in my mind, like, no, this, you can't tell me this, you can't do that. And, you know, the more I fight it, the more it got worse. So I learned how to accept my symptoms, my sensations. So, you know, once you learn how to accept it, it gets easier. You know, I mean, you're still gonna have panic attacks, but it gets easier. You're not as scared of it as you were. You know, like right now, I'm not as scared as I was before. Like, I'm still in my recovery stages, you know, so I'm gonna have ups and downs. But, you know, I'd rather have ups and downs better than having down and going even worse, going straight down. You know, when I first had anxiety, first had panic attacks, like in spring of 2016, I thought it couldn't get any worse, but I was wrong. It got even worse. I was able to leave my house when it started happening, but when it got worse, I wasn't able to leave my house. But that's how it is. And now when it gets worse, I leave my house. I try my best to go outside my safe zone and have it outside. When you have it outside, your panic attacks doesn't fear you. You don't fear it as much as you used to, and then one day you'll be able to do the things you used to do. The sooner you do it, the easier it gets. Last year when I had days with no anxiety, I was only leaving my house every couple of days. But when I leave my house, I wasn't going too far. I was only going maybe 3-4 blocks, and that was pretty much it. And then when I start having one panic attack after having none for 3-4 days, when I came home after my bike ride, I freaked out, ran into my house. When I ran, my heart started racing as soon as I got to my driveway. I had the urge to drop my bike in one in my room, but I put my bike down and slowly walked in my room. But my heart was pounding, so the next morning I woke up, panic attacks non-stop, man. I didn't want to leave my house again. And then a couple of weeks later, in August 2016, I left my house during the panic attack, and it got even worse when I left. But from that point on, when I got home, I started freaking out. I went back in my house, my heart started racing. So the more you run, the harder your heart starts pounding. So you have to remember that too. When you start freaking out and you have the urge to run home, your heart is pounding because it wants you to run away from that place you're at. And when you do run, it starts racing more. So I try my best. My heart starts racing, my legs get jiggly, I have the urge to run. I'm gonna slow myself down. I'm gonna walk even slower. I'm just gonna stand there and wait till it passes, and then I'll walk. Whatever you can do to calm down your mind, your heart. If you calm your mind down, your heart will stop racing. There was a time that when I go for a walk and I get near my driveway, my heart would stop pounding because I would have the urge to hurry up and get my keys and run in. And I remember it's because of what happened to me last year when it happened. Well, whatever happened to me last year is still on my mind. Like I keep talking about it, but I try my best to forget it. But sometimes those memories just pops in your head. The only thing you can do is try to create new memories and forget about it. It will take time. Like for me, I'm still trying to create new memories. I'm happy I'm able to sit in my car even though I'm not driving it, but just sitting in my car and not freaking out is good, because I think every time I try to leave my house, the first thing I look at was my car. Instantly threw me into a panic attack because it reminded me of my panic attack. Now I can sit in it and not freak out as much. But one day I will drive my own car again. But I'm happy I'm able to drive again, even though it's not my car. But I'm trying my best. That's the only thing you can do is try. If you fail one day, don't let it bring you down. Try it again later on the day. There's always going to be that new day. If you wake up with panic attack, let it happen. Don't think, the whole day is going to be bad, because you don't know that. You're creating that in your mind. You start thinking, it's just going to get worse. And then when you think about it so much, you just don't want to get up. You're just going to lay in bed all day, think about it, and then you realize later on at night, like, okay, I only had one panic attack, but throughout the day I was fine after. Then you're going to think, why couldn't I just have left my house? Then you start thinking, I could have, I should have, I would have. But also when you wake up, you have a panic attack, let it happen, shake it off, and continue on the day. You know, I mean, it's not easy or ending, but you know, you just have to try. Like right now, I can feel my hands wanting to like crunch up like this. It's like it's doing this because it's cold. I mean, I have to remind myself every day that you know when it's cold, your hands are gonna go frostbite. You're gonna start doing this. So, I mean, it happened to me even before I had anxiety. But you know, when I didn't have panic attacks, I panic disorder, whatever symptom I had, you know, I would be like, okay, whatever. But with anxiety, every little single thing that goes wrong with your body, you know, you start freaking out. Um, Anyways, about to head back in my house and continue with the rest of my day.